When love fades, it doesn't always yell. Sometimes it just grows quiet. What's the first thing someone does when they stop loving you? It's rarely loud. There's no dramatic exit, no slammed doors, no shouting matches or sudden demands for space. More often, it starts in silence. Something subtle shifts, so small you might not notice it at first. The routines stay the same, the conversations still happen, but something essential is missing. Their heart begins to pull away, even while their words stay in place. This isn't about blame or drama. It's not about playing detective or pointing fingers. It's about clarity, because when love begins to fade, it often leaves behind a quiet trail of emotional distance, unspoken feelings, and shifts in connection that speak louder than words. In this video, we'll walk through 5 early signs that someone may no longer love you. They're subtle, gentle even, but deeply revealing. These are not guesses. They're based on real emotional patterns seen in long-term relationships, marriages, and close partnerships. By the end, you'll have a clearer sense of what's real, what matters, and what your next step could be. And make sure to stay until the end, because one of these signs, often overlooked, could completely shift how you see your relationship. You deserve honesty, not just from others, but from yourself. So, let's begin. Sign number 1, the curiosity fades. One of the quietest yet clearest signs that someone's love is fading is this: they stop being curious about you. Once, they might have asked about your day, how your doctor's appointment went, or what your grandkids were up to. They remembered the little things, the way you liked your coffee or that book you were excited to finish. Now, they barely look up when you speak. They stop asking follow-up questions. Conversations feel flat. You feel like you're talking at them, not with them. This shift isn't just about distraction. It's not because they're too busy. It's emotional disconnection. Let me tell you about Edna and Paul, married nearly 40 years. Edna used to share everything, how her roses were blooming again, the drama from her book club, even what the neighbor's dog did that morning. Paul used to listen, really listen. He'd smile, respond, engage, but then it changed. She'd start telling a story, and he'd stay focused on the TV, no reaction, maybe a grunt, maybe silence. And the room began to feel heavy. It wasn't the words that disappeared, it was the interest, because when someone loves you, they lean in. They want to know how you're doing. They remember the small things because you matter to them. When that curiosity fades, it's not about your stories being boring. It's about emotional investment slipping away. You go from being the center of their world to background noise. That sounds harsh, but if your voice feels like it no longer lands, if you're not being seen or heard, ask yourself, when did they stop being curious about me? And why didn't I notice it sooner? Because when love fades, it doesn't always say so out loud. Sometimes it just stops asking. Sign number 2, the patience disappears. Another quiet but telling shift is in their patience. The same things that once made them smile, or that they used to gently tease you about, suddenly annoy them. Maybe it's something small. You ask again what day the appointment is. You forget where you put the keys. You bring up a topic they've heard before. But instead of warmth, you're met with a sharp tone, a sigh, a cold look. Suddenly you're walking on eggshells. Think about Helen, 76. She'd always been a little forgetful, and her husband Richard used to play along, laughing, helping her find her glasses, making it light-hearted. But one day, it changed. He started snapping, rolling his eyes, muttering under his breath. When she asked for help logging into her online banking, he just said, "You need to figure it out yourself." Helen never forgot that moment, not because it was loud, but because it was so unlike him. When someone loves you, they make room for your quirks, they understand your habits, they offer grace. not just out of duty, but out of care. But when love starts to pull away, even the smallest requests feel like burdens to them. Where there used to be understanding, there's now resistance. And it's not because you've changed, it's because their heart is no longer as close as it once was. When the tone shifts, when you get that sigh, that sharp response, that unexpected coldness, you might start questioning yourself. Am I being too much? Am I asking for too much? But here's the truth. It's not that you're asking for more. It's that they're giving less. Their willingness to show up for you, their emotional investment, it's simply not what it used to be. And that shows up in all the little ways, the eye rolls, the interruptions, the heavy silence that follows a perfectly normal question. Don't dismiss it as stress or a bad mood, because often it's something deeper, a heart that's no longer in the same place. And if you've been feeling more like a bother than a partner, that's something worth noticing. You deserve to be in a connection where you don't have to second-guess whether your presence matters. And hey, if you're still here and this message is resonating, drop a 2 in the comments to let me know you're with me. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us keep creating real, thoughtful content that informs and inspires. Now let's keep going. Sign number 3. Time together fades. When love begins to fade, it doesn't always show up in big absences. It shows up in the absence of intention. It's not just about hours on a clock. It's about the quality of the time. You'll notice the difference. They stop making plans, not because they're too busy, but because they don't want to. They used to sit next to you during your favorite shows, or join you for a cup of tea on the porch. But now, they drift, they linger in other rooms, they leave the house without asking if you'd like to come. And when they do stay, their body might be there, but their attention isn't. Take Rye, 68. For years, he and his wife Linda shared a morning routine. Coffee at the kitchen table, a little talk about the weather or the news, or just quiet time together. It was simple, but meaningful. Then one day, Linda started waking up earlier, going for long walks on her own. The coffee was made, but the table was empty. She said she just needed time to herself, and Rye understood at first. But when those solo mornings became the norm, he started to feel like a guest in his own marriage. Here's the thing, when someone loves you, they make time. Because time is love. Time says, I choose you. I want to be where you are. When that desire fades, they won't always tell you why. They'll say they're tired, or they're busy, or sometimes they won't say anything at all. But time doesn't lie. People always make time for what and who matters to them. So if you find yourself alone more often, even when they're still in the same house, if they stop inviting you to the little things, if they start saying, you go ahead or I'll just stay here, that growing distance is no accident. It doesn't take a fight. It doesn't take a dramatic ending. It just takes enough empty mornings, enough solo dinners, enough nights when they turn their back instead of turning toward you. If you're feeling left behind in a relationship that used to feel like home, trust that feeling. Because when love fades, it doesn't always shrink the minutes. It erases the meaning in them. And that kind of silence, it says more than words ever could. Sign number 4, emotional withholding. There comes a moment, often quiet, often hard to name, when someone stops letting you in. Not just into their day, but into their inner world. You used to hear about their worries, their hopes, the things that lit them up or weighed them down. Now you get surface-level replies, I'm fine, don't worry about it. And the worst part? You can feel something's off. But they won't tell you what. It's not just silence. It's a wall going up where there used to be a door. Take Gloria, 71. Her partner, Samuel, used to tell her everything. After calls with his brother, he'd debrief. He'd talk through his fears before his knee surgery. He even called her his best friend. But then, something changed. When a close cousin passed, Gloria didn't hear about it until a week later. When she asked why he didn't tell her, he just said, "I didn't want to burden you." But she knew it wasn't about sparing her. It was about shutting her out. That kind of shift doesn't happen overnight. But once someone stops turning to you with their truth, once they choose solitude over your support, you're no longer their safe place. You become a roommate instead of a partner. The big decisions get made without you. The conversations you used to have at dinner turn into quiet meals with your own thoughts. And the saddest part, you don't even know what you're missing until the distance becomes impossible to ignore. People don't just stop talking. They stop trusting you with their truth. And that hurts even more than silence, because it means, deep down, they no longer see you as the one they lean on when life gets heavy. They might still be kind, they might still show up for chores or sit beside you at church, but the warmth is gone, the closeness is gone, and when you try to reach for it, when you say, "What's wrong?" or "Can we talk?" you feel that wall between you. It's not always shouting or slammed doors. Sometimes it's quiet. They say things like, "I'm just tired," or "You wouldn't understand." But what they're really saying is, I've already turned inward. I've already started to disconnect. It's not about exhaustion, it's about distance. And when someone begins to emotionally withdraw, that silence can speak volumes. If you're still watching and these insights are resonating with you, please drop a 4 in the comments to let me know you're here. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Your support helps us keep making meaningful content that both informs and uplifts. Let's keep going. Sign number 5. Physical withdrawal. When emotional closeness starts to fade, the body often follows. The hugs become less frequent. The eye contact feels shorter. Those small, loving touches, a hand on the arm, a forehead kiss, sitting side by side, begin to disappear. It's subtle at first, but deeply felt. Because for many couples, physical affection is where the unspoken love lives. It's a quiet way of saying, "I see you, and I still choose you." So when that touch vanishes, it doesn't just feel lonely. It feels like love itself is stepping back. Take Martin and Alice, married 45 years. They were always naturally affectionate, holding hands on walks, rubbing each other's shoulders after long days. Martin never missed a goodnight kiss, but after he retired, something shifted. He grew quiet, more distant. He started turning his back in bed. He'd gently brush her hand away when she rested it on his knee while watching TV. He stopped initiating any kind of touch. And eventually Alice stopped reaching for him too, not out of anger, but out of confusion. She didn't know where she stood anymore. Physical touch is a kind of language, one that says, "I'm here." When someone stops speaking that language, it's a sign. They stop holding your hand in public. They flinch, just slightly, when you lean in. And while it may look small on the outside, inside, it hurts deeply. This isn't just about romance or passion, it's about presence, reassurance, that warm, silent understanding that you're still wanted. When that disappears, you begin to question everything. Did I do something wrong? Did I change? But often it's not about what you did, it's about how they feel, and how they no longer feel drawn to you, emotionally or physically. So if the warmth seems to vanish the moment they walk into the room, if a hug feels more like a formality than a connection, it may be time to face what's no longer being spoken. Because when love fades, the body knows, and it begins to show you one small distance at a time. Final thought. Now that you've heard these 5 signs, take a moment, breathe, reflect. Maybe one of these signs hit home, maybe all of them did. What matters most right now isn't just recognizing the patterns, It's recognizing what they mean for you. Because the truth is, we often feel it in our gut long before we can put it into words. And still we doubt ourselves, we minimize, we tell ourselves we're overthinking or being too sensitive. But emotional distance doesn't lie, it leaves clues. In silence, in avoidance, in that deep, quiet ache of not feeling seen. If you've been wondering whether what you're experiencing is real, it probably is. You're not imagining it. You're feeling the difference between being chosen and being tolerated. And that's not something to ignore. That's something to explore. With honesty, with courage, and with compassion, both for yourself and your relationship. This doesn't mean the love is completely gone. It doesn't mean there's no hope. But the first step toward healing, whatever that looks like, is seeing things clearly. Because when you do, you stop blaming yourself. You stop carrying the weight of a one-sided connection, and you start asking the right questions. Do I feel emotionally safe here? Am I being treated with care? Do I still feel like I matter? Remember, your peace matters just as much as anyone else's comfort. It might hurt to admit that love is changing, but it's far more painful to pretend it's not. You deserve a love that shows up, that leans in, that stays curious, that keeps choosing you day after day. Thank you for spending this time with us. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share one thing that resonated with you today or how you plan to apply it to your life. Your voice matters, and your stories give others courage. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content that informs, heals, and inspires. See you in the next video.